Hello everyone, my name is T-SPLY. I'm doing this live. I actually want to give my opinion on the whole North Korea situation. Now, I've been reporting on this the last couple of days, and I'm trying to stay as objective as possible, but this is such a unique story that I had to give an opinion. And I'm not a fan of fence riders, and so here's my thoughts on the entire situation. Make sure to leave your comments and opinions down below on what you think is going to happen. But a quick summation, a quick summary of what happened is that you have this private who was a troublemaker in South Korea. He was put in prison by the South Koreans, and the U.S. Army said, "We want him back over in Fort Bliss, Texas." And obviously, he was going to be facing punishment over in Texas. Now, not quite sure if it's going to be just military punishment, UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice, or if it's also U.S. military and the federal government, or even the state of Texas. Nonetheless, here are my opinions. First and foremost, this is a extremely complex situation and unique. Typically, whenever you have issues with North Korea, we're dealing with nuclear missiles or ballistic missiles. And in terms of actual U.S. citizens in North Korea, what tends to happen is a U.S. citizen goes on tour in North Korea, or they're like a tourist in North Korea. And then they might steal a picture, or they might get falsely accused of something where they recorded something illegally. I don't think many people realize that you can go into North Korea under a tour, a guided tour. Typically, U.S. soldiers do not go into North Korea because obviously you don't want to get in trouble. North Koreans love U.S. soldiers, and we'll get into that in a second. So again, typically it's a U.S. citizen who gets in trouble by stealing something or doing something dumb, and then all of a sudden North Korea is like, look, this American right here did something wrong. They're blasted all over state television. But as far as this guy right here, willingly going into North Korea, this is unique for our day and age. And what I mean by that is, if you look into North Korean defectors, you have an entire Wikipedia page, you have documentaries on North Korean defectors, and a lot of these soldiers actually don't live the worst life. And you have to think, back in the 60s, 70s, when these defectors were, I don't want to say common, but it happened, there was obviously not as much information back then than there is today. Like, everyone knows today North Korea is full of crap, a lot of liars, a lot of shady things going on, so why would you defect into North Korea? Especially in our day and age of media, where you have North Koreans who defected into South Korea and they're saying, do not go there, it's all a lie. So now again, we're put in this situation of, we have a U.S. citizen, U.S. soldier, and now he's in North Korea. And when I was thinking about this entire situation, the U.S. military and the U.S. government, they've gone after worse people than Private King. They've gone after people who've legitimately gotten other people hurt, U.S. soldiers looking for other soldiers who've defected. The Brittany Griner situation, where she went into Russia with illegal substances for their country. And then we did a prisoner swap for the Merchant of Death, who's now running for political office in Russia. And if you guys are not aware, I actually have a video of that. The Merchant of Death is running for political office in Russia. Good for him. And Brittany Griner can slam dunk a basketball. Good for her. Both sides win. But I'm seeing a weird dichotomy of, a lot of people don't want this soldier to return, and a lot of people do want this soldier to return. Nonetheless, the way I see it is, North Korea has all the cards in their hand, and I'm going to be honest with you, if I was them, I would not return this kid. This guy willingly went into the country. So now North Korea essentially has a carnival act where they can just march this kid around the country and say, we've captured an American soldier. One thing that annoys me about today's media and today's, like, anything that has to do with North Korea, the only time you ever hear about North Korea is whenever there's ballistic missile tests, or if something bad happens, I guess. North Korean citizens don't necessarily hate North Korea, they just don't know better. And so when they're told in North Korea, this U.S. soldier did something bad, or this guy tried to sneak into our country, I mean, they can make anything up. They can say this kid is a spy, for all we know. Meanwhile, he's just an E2 troublemaker. He's only been in the army for a couple of years. And so my opinions are this, straightforward this, and make sure you guys leave your opinions down below, because I'm curious. I love reading all the comments, because again, this is a unique situation. I think Travis King will not be returned back home. I think, unfortunately, from the evidence that I've seen, any single time a U.S. military member has gone into North Korea, for the most part, they're stuck there, especially in a situation where he defected willingly. When you look at the context of today, right now, North Korea is in a advantageous position to where they are working on their ballistic missile program. Nobody's messing with them. Like, what are you going to do? Say, hey, stop that? I mean, they're semi-backed by China. And right now, the United States has to deal with Taiwan, China, and any act of violence within that region is terrible. Right now, the United States also has a nuclear sub in the region. And so North Korea can say, hey, if you guys want your boy back, you're going to have to send your nuclear sub away from us. And North Korea knows, even if they make that deal, the U.S. can just hide in the waters. So that is my honest opinion, is that there is absolutely zero upside for North Korea to want to give this kid back. And so I just read a comment real quick. There is a guy named Joseph Droznek. Droznek was this soldier who was in the same circumstance as Travis. He was a troublemaker. His wife cheated on him back stateside. I suggest you go look this up. Private Droznek. He was a defector into North Korea who lived an okay life. Many people speculate, is he lying? Is he not lying? Essentially what happened is this private went into North Korea because his life was terrible. He was about to be facing a court-martial. He was going to be getting in a lot of trouble. And 3 hours before his court-martial, the man walked across a minefield. Okay? Across a minefield. That's how desperate he was, and that's how much he didn't care. I mean, think about that. The human mind is wild. To not care to walk into North Korea. And then he was beaten. He was taken advantage of. He was used against other U.S. soldiers. He was like a bigger, tough dude. Again, go look this guy up. Droznek. Private Droznek. He lived an okay life. He was a movie star. He was always portrayed as the bad guy. He was always the U.S. soldier in North Korean propaganda films. But he was a movie star nonetheless. He had a family. He has 2 sons who served in the North Korean military. He was an English teacher. And so it gives you a bit of an insight in how North Korea views U.S. soldiers. The United States is always viewed as the enemy. The enemy. Anything North Korea that revolves around enemy, military, all of that is ballistic missiles and U.S. soldiers. So now all of a sudden imagine you have a U.S. soldiers in your hands who legitimately walked into your territory. Now, if I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know if this kid will be living the lavish life of a movie star. That would be quite interesting. The number one thing that I saw, and I suggest you think about this, is your willingness to conform. And I'm sorry if this is getting a little too deep because I hate making these philosophical videos, but it's the truth. Droznek, who's the most famous defector into North Korea, who was a famous U.S. soldier, or I guess the most famous situation, is that he conformed into North Korean ideologies. And if you conform into North Korean ideologies, North Korea seems to work with you as much as they can. If not, you have situations where they might return you back in a vegetative state. They might take advantage of you, and you might not hear from them ever again. So, not that Private King has any power, but from the evidence that I'm seeing is that he needs to either conform or he needs to make it straight up forward. I don't want to be a part of any of this. And that's the situation he's in. So that is my opinion on this entire situation. Again, I personally don't think we will be seeing him again back in U.S. custody. North Korea has absolutely zero to gain from this. And North Korea has nothing to gain from this trade. They have everything to gain, though, by maybe getting some sort of monetary means. Because, what's the value of a soldier? Are we going to give $1 billion? Or are we going to allow some sort of economic policy? And unfortunate as it sounds, when it comes to the U.S. military and when it comes to government, every soldier has a monetary value. And I remember one day when I was a soldier, every soldier, whether you're 18 or 55, doesn't matter, you have to sign your life away saying, if I pass away in combat, I want this money to go to my family. And I think it's about $500,000. And if I remember correctly, my commander, maybe you guys can fact check me, every soldier is worth about $500,000 as far as paying your life insurance to your family. So Yeah, I know it sounds harsh, but you are government property once you sign that dotted line. The U.S. military will always treat you humanely, but there's always a way, there's always a risk factor when it comes to combat, trades, stuff like that. So, anyway, that's my opinion. I wanted to do it live just to make it raw and fresh. So, if I started a little bit, I don't normally do commentary like this. So, please leave your comments and opinions down below. And that's my opinion on this entire situation. I personally don't think he will be returned. If he is, that's great. But nonetheless, he will still be facing some sort of court action. So, again, see you guys later. My name is T-SPLY. Good to see all of you.